Hello, hello. It is Monday, May 27th, and I am your Monday host on Player Profiler today. Tyler Knably at PPR Tyler on Twitter and at PPR Tyler on YouTube as well, where we stream underdog drafts every single day. But that's not this channel. I won't self-promote too much. Let's just get in to what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about kind of these three wide receivers. I was talking to some of my friends about this, and like Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, and Justin Jefferson all had to sign deals. It's just kind of we're waiting to see who's going to sign the first one. We'll probably hit on some Rashee Rice, Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, Hollywood Brown, sitting courtside at the Mavs game last night. We'll kind of break down maybe the dynamics of that because there's some stuff that I'm seeing that isn't really getting talked about. So we'll dive into that, and I'll also give my take on Mark Davis. If you haven't heard, he's expecting a child. So I thought that might be a fun one to hit on for a little bit. So that's all going to come up. Let's hit the little mini bumper real quick though. Let's do a hard reset and we'll come back and we'll get into the show. All right. Now, the first piece of news I want to talk about today is the CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase type of thing we got going on here. So basically, if you like, CeeDee Lamb is going into the last year of his deal right now. Justin Jefferson, his last year on his deal is 2024. Same with CeeDee Lamb. Jamar Chase has 2 years left on his deal because he was drafted the year after both of those two. And I just think it's a really, really interesting dynamic because I feel like we've seen it kind of with the quarterbacks a little bit where like maybe one quarterback's going to wait for the other to sign. But receivers, I feel like we haven't seen this in a while. And it's kind of already happened where these guys are just waiting because after somebody signs their deal, they want to get more money than the next guy. Like that's just kind of how it works with the contracts. And I think the two biggest pieces of news to kind of take away from this thing is so Amon-Ra, I think it was on draft day, like the day after, it was one of the two, or the day before, something like that, where Amon-Ra, he signed a deal that kind of reset the market a little bit. 4 years, 120 million. It was actually a really good team-friendly deal for the Lions, considering Tyreek, I think, makes upwards of $30 million a year annually. So obviously Amon-Ra's deal comes out to $30 million a year. He had $77 million guaranteed, which is 64% of his deal. Before we move on to AJ Brown, what's up, Jamie? Always out there showing love. So gotta shout you out. But on to AJ Brown. So AJ Brown's kind of the most recent receiver to sign a big deal. Not 4 years, but AJ Brown gets 3 years, $96 million, $32 million a year. I think the biggest thing about this deal is $84 million of that are guaranteed. So Amon-Ra's deal was 64% of the money was guaranteed. AJ Brown got 88% of his deal guaranteed, which is it's just a crazy number. Like, good for AJ Brown. Whoever his agent is, I think every receiver should be signing with that agency company, because 88% of a deal that's guaranteed, and you're a wide receiver and you kind of play a physical brand of football the way AJ Brown does, that's a tremendous deal. So what does that mean for JJ, Jamar, and CeeDee Lamb? Well, like, they're going to make more than that. Like, it's not really it's not if it's going to happen, it's just how much is that number going to be. And the next question is, if let's say CeeDee signs first, right? Let's say CeeDee signs first. Let's say he gets 4 years, 130 mil or something. Like let's say his average salary comes out to around, I don't know, $33-34 million a year. It's going to be more than 32, because AJ Brown, like, if the Cowboys were smart and if the Vikings were smart and the Bengals, they kind of just entered this period where they can re-sign Jamar Chase. So it's not so much those two, but the Cowboys and the Vikings, why are you not signing your guy like last offseason? They could have got these deals done last offseason, and they probably would have saved themselves a bunch of money. Like, I think they probably would have got around 30 to 33. Now, I guess we're not in those contract negotiations. We're not a part of those talks. We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. But if I'm the Vikings or the Cowboys and I could have got Jefferson or Lamb on a $33 million deal last offseason, because now you're playing a game where it's going to be 33 anyway. So you might as well just got the deal done last year. I remember listening to Albert Breer. He was talking about the JJ deal, and he was like, He's like, I still think the deal gets done, but it's like JJ is not going to do the Vikings any favors, right? Like they could have got this thing done last year. The Vikings were holding out. JJ was holding out. It's another year where like if he tears, if Justin Jefferson like tears his ACL, or he has a season-ending injury, like an Achilles thing, like he's not going to get that top of the line money. So Jefferson in himself is just taking a risk. And just anything can happen on the football field. Concuss. Like a DeMar Hamlin situation. Like it is a scary, scary thing to be an NFL football player or any football player in general. So I think Jefferson kind of going into like this is like he's in the last year. Barring like unless he doesn't sign, like he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Now he probably gets the deal done. He probably gets signed, but I think the Vikings could have got this thing done last offseason and save themselves some money. Like even if it's 33, 34, like I think that's a fine number, and you just say yes to that because AJ Brown just got 32, and if CD signs, if CD or Jamar Chase sign, or it's the same thing for the Cowboys too. I'm just using the Vikings example because that was the one that's kind of the one I'm the most in tune with. But if Jamar or CD, if like one of these receiver signs, pretty much the other one, especially for CD Lamb and Justin Jefferson, like that player is just going to ask for more money. Like let's say CD signs for a $34 million deal, right? Jefferson's going to get 35. Like he has to get more than he's the best receiver. He has to get paid like it. Like that's just how it works. I'm not breaking any news here. So I just think it's a really interesting dynamic of who are we going to see get signed first, and then how does that affect the guys' deals that come after that. And I think the guaranteed money is a big thing too. Amon-Ra only got 64%. AJ Brown gets 88%. Could a guy like Justin Jefferson, where they're kind of in a rebuild, they have a quarterback on a rookie deal in JJ McCarthy, right? Could he go to the team and be like, hey, I want 100% guaranteed contract? Like, does he have that kind of pull? If you're the Vikings, he kind like it feels like he like somewhat does, because they're not paying a quarterback right now. They're going to be paying if JJ is the answer, like they're not going to be paying a quarterback for 5 years. That's how it works. Usually that 5th year option. So they're really not going to be forced to be, kind of at a crossroads here in terms of like we're giving too much money to our quarterback and our wide receiver. No, they can just pay the receiver. So I think JJ has a lot of how do I say it? Like it's just a lot of leverage in these negotiations, because I think he might try and be one of those guys who just like absolutely resets the market. Maybe he gets 35 a year, 100% of it guaranteed, or at least like a high 90s number. I could definitely see that. I think he wants to beat out AJ Brown's deal for sure. And if he's the second to sign, if Lamb or Chase sign first, then it's really interesting to see how it's going to get how that's going to break down. So if I were any of the Cowboys, Vikings, or Cincinnati Bengals, I would try and get this deal done as fast as possible. But I don't think any of the receivers want to get the deal done because they know they'll get more just after somebody else signs. So if I'm maybe it means you roll the dice and you say, hey, we'll give you $32 million a year, or, maybe $31 million a year, but we'll give you a fully guaranteed contract in hopes that then the overall number won't be higher, but then you're taking a more risk with the guarantees. It's very interesting to play out. So I thought I'd talk about it today. So, and this is another interesting point that Jamie brings up here. I heard today the Vikings were trying to trade up to pick 5 to get Neighbors and trade away Jefferson. Now, that was a very hot topic in my group chat yesterday. Obviously from Minnesota, have a lot of Minnesota fans. I'm obviously a Falcons fan, but that's neither here nor there. But basically, if you didn't see the news, and that was definitely something I want to touch on, it was being reported that the Vikings wanted. And again, this is like rumors. I know the newspaper that it came from it's called the Pioneer Press. It's a Minnesota newspaper. It's a St. Paul newspaper. Actually, it's kind of like how would I say it? Like the first newspaper that everyone kind of listens to, Star Tribune. Second one, probably Pioneer Press in terms of like the biggest newspapers in the state. Anyways, some people are not, some people at least in my group chat are not too fond of the reporting that comes out of that publication. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like let's hear Shep like this. It's kind of goes with anything. Let's hear like Schefter say something about this before we make any overall opinions. But if that is true, that at least like signifies that the Vikings, maybe they're not into paying a receiver who is, it's not a premium position. Like if JJ gets $35 million a year, like that's borderline like quarterback money. Like he might be getting quarterback money, which is crazy to just think about. And again, they can afford it because they have a rookie on a quarterback on a rookie deal, excuse me. But it's just a very interesting thing. So like, if that is true, are they willing to part ways with JJ, or maybe get younger and just like kind of do more of a full reset? Where like, again, I wonder what that deal would look like. Imagine if they that would be crazy. Imagine if they traded up to 5 and then they just grab Malik Neighbors. Everyone thinks it's McCarthy. Like, oh, this is JJ, like whatever, like, and then it's Neighbors. Like, that would be insane. And like that would have been the draft, like the most wild thing that's ever happened in terms of a draft day trade. And like, what would that deal look like? I'm guessing the Chargers would have had to given up more, because I don't think you would trade the 5 pick for JJ straight up if you're the Vikings. I think you'd want the 5 pick and then something else. So maybe they were just, flirting around. We're like, maybe we'll try and fleece them. We're going to offer them a deal so ridiculous. Like, if they accept it, then we'll do it. But like, we don't really want to trade JJ. I think there's a lot more news that comes out about that before we kind of dive into it. But it's a really interesting dynamic, with all these receivers and then the JJ trade. It's very interesting. So I hope we get kind of a more of an insight on that from maybe another insider like Schefter, like Rappaport. I would love to hear more of that breakdown and kind of what went down on draft day, because it sounded like because the Pioneer Press reported it, and then Pro Football Talk said they heard the same thing. Again, not the most two reliable sources that are in the business, but it's 2 different sources. So I'm leaning toward it might be true. So it's very interesting. And yeah, we'll kind of end that conversation there. And I want to dive into the Rashee Rice, kind of the Chiefs all sitting courtside at the Mavs game yesterday. But before we do, let's hear a word from the Podfather about Underdog.
This episode is made possible by Underdog Fantasy, and Underdog Fantasy is the leader in best ball. When you go to join an Underdog Fantasy best ball draft, it fills very quickly. Especially now, it's Best Ball Mania season, baby! Best Ball Mania 5! I can't believe they're at Best Ball Mania 5 already. $15 million in prizes. They're giving out $15 million with $1.5 million to first. Playing in best ball leagues makes you better. It helps train you on player value and strategy. And Underdog offers a lot more than just best ball contests. They offer pick'ems. My new favorite, the golf pick'ems. But they have the NBA pick'ems, baseball pick'ems going on throughout the offseason. Hit the pick'ems, back to best ball, hit the pick'ems. So use promo code Underworld. Promo code Underworld gets you a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. So they've increased the maximum deposit bonus. It was $100. Now it's up to $125. When you get the Underdog app, use promo code Underworld and go draft your ass off.
Yeah, that's right. Go draft your freaking ass off. I'm drafting every day. Again, I mentioned in the open every day on PPR Tyler on YouTube and Twitter. I'm drafting Underdog teams every single day. So come hang out with us for that. Also, too, if you're watching live right now, we'll be streaming with Player Profiler's own Memphis Young at 8 p.m. Central. We're going to be doing a Best Ball Mania draft. So make sure you come and hang out with us for that. That's going to be an absolute awesome time. Okay, let's dive into our next piece of news. The Rashee Rice, Mahomes, Kelsey, Hollywood, all sitting courtside at the Mavericks game for Game 3 last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yes, I am a Timberwolves fan, but we're not going to talk about basketball and what I think about the defensive schemes that we've been implementing against the Dallas Mavericks, because we could probably turn this into an hour-long podcast. But let's stick with the fantasy football relevant news. So Mahomes and Brittany Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hollywood Brown all sitting together, floor seats, courtside at the game. Rashee Rice. Now, I'm sure all of you saw the picture of those three, Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hollywood all sitting next to each other courtside. Who you didn't see was Rashee Rice, who was also at the game, but not sitting with Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hollywood. Now, that could have been a seating issue. Maybe they only had so many seats. And, Rashee Rice is from, I think, the Texas area. So I'm probably assuming that he's probably a Mavericks fan. But I don't know. People were saying adjust the ranks when Hollywood was sitting courtside with Mahomes and Kelsey. That's like, it feels like a pretty exclusive club, feels like a pretty, you get to hang out with Mahomes and Kelsey. Like, I don't think Worthy wasn't there. Harrison Butker wasn't there, probably for other reasons. But Hollywood was there. So people were saying adjust the ranks. Like, does that mean anything? I think it means like 2% of something. Like, it makes me like, I've been drafting Hollywood over Worthy like all the entire offseason, but I think I'm a little, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe Hollywood is the guy here. I think he is. Plus, Mahomes has come out and said Hollywood keeps making plays when he throws on the ball. Again, it's just probably OTAs. They're probably not even running against a real defense half the time. So Mahomes did say, like, if he keeps making plays, I'm going to keep throwing the ball to him. Like, that sounds pretty that sounds pretty fair. I mean, that sounds like like something you should be doing if you're Patrick Mahomes. So I think Hollywood's in underdog right now. Hollywood and Worthy go back to back, like literally back to back in for price. And I know Worthy's the new shiny toy, and Hollywood really hasn't had like a great season in a while. But I think Hollywood's the guy to own if you're going to own a Chiefs receiver. Draft him in underdog. I'm definitely drafting Hollywood Brown over, I think, Worthy and Rashee Rice. So it's just now, what does this mean for the Rashee Rice thing? Like, is he just not in the group? I don't know. And I think while this whole Rashee Rice thing has kind of been going on, people seem to be speculating on whether or not is Rashee Rice actually good, or was he just, a decent player in an offense that had nobody? All these targets, all these receptions. What is Rashee Rice's role like? Because we're all drafting him like, oh, he's gonna be the number one when he comes back. Is he? I don't know if he is, because like they have so many weapons, they don't need to force the ball to Rashee Rice anymore. So Rashee Rice, I think even clicking him, like if you're clicking with the mindset, and it's like, oh, we're just going to get the same like absolute target dominance, all these catches, all these touchdowns. Like they're going to use this guy, like, they're scheming this guy where he can get the ball in space, right? I think he's a guy you need, in some drafts, especially if he falls a little bit more. Maybe he's even falling more today after the game last night. But I think it's wise to, limit your expectations for Rashee Rice when you do draft him, because I don't think, like, there's so many guys in this offense now. The O-line's great. Pacheco is a really good running back. You got Kelsey, you got Hollywood, you got Worthy, you got Rice. Where do all those guys, like, who scores the most points this year? That's a real question. Who scores the most fantasy points among the Chiefs pass catching options? Hollywood, Worthy, Kelsey, or Rice? And obviously Rice, I would say, okay, let's go average points per game. Who has the most average points per game this season? Because Rice probably going to get suspended. We just don't know how long that's going to be. I expect anywhere from like 4 to 6 games, somewhere in there. I don't think he's going to get 8. Half the season seems a little just overreaction on my end. We've seen people do much worse things, but the NFL's never really been consistent in their punishment. So I guess I'm prepared for anything. But a very interesting dynamic between Rashee Rice, all those Chiefs pass catching options. So Rashee Rice, guy you can draft, but I wouldn't be thinking that he's just a locked in for the number one role when he comes back from suspension. Okay. Last piece of news, and I'm not going to give my overall take on this, but I just thought it was funny, and we might as well talk about it. Mark Davis, congratulations, having a child with his, I think, girlfriend or wife. I should have done more research on that. Just in case you were curious, Mark Davis, 70 years old, girlfriend, 26 years old. But I'm not even shaming. I just think it's worth mentioning. Okay, just like De Niro, people were kind of getting on De Niro a little bit, and I'm not here to shame. I'm not here to shame whatsoever. Just that it was interesting piece of news that, is at least worth a mention. Again, congrats to both of those. And I mean that sincerely. That's not even me being sarcastic. I just think it's an interesting dynamic, Like love is love, right? Love is love. So I just wanted to throw that out there and just give a big congrats to Mark Davis and the girlfriend whose name I forgot. Again, this is terrible planning by yours truly. Probably should have got the name of the girl, because that's just, probably should have done that. But just wanted to say congratulations to Mark Davis and his girlfriend on their expecting child. But that's going to wrap it up for me today. Again, thanks for hanging out with us on Player Profiler Day on Mondays. I'll be back next Monday. Maybe we'll break down some quarterback contract or some maybe we'll talk about the RB market. We haven't really got any RB contract market talk in a while. Is the RB position dead? Maybe we'll revive that for the 2024 season. It's been too long since we've talked about the running back market. So we'll see next week, but we'll see you next week, and make sure you hang out with us 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern for those who like Eastern time. And that would be 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Rocky time zone. Rocky Mountain time zone, something like that. I don't know. We'll see you guys next week on Monday. Everyone have a great rest of your Memorial Day, and we'll see you later.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.